Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Assemble. I'm Matt, and thank you so much for joining us here. We are live and we are streaming, and I have my special guests, my guys, the Iron Lords podcast. The round table is here, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up to them in the chat right now, please, because this is going to be a fun one. Boys, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Doing very good. Is it all good and nice and fun today?
Try to stay awake because my dumb ass.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I was very smart and stayed up to like 3 a.m. So
oh my god, what was you doing at 3?
I was watching. I was rewatching Snyder Cut and watching Godzilla and Kong.
Like at the same time, or are you flipping?
Well, I back to back those puppies, so it was like
well, what he likes to do, he's like to put one in each eye, so he uses the VR and he has one in each eye.
Yeah, man.
So you get like that intermission at the Snyder Cut of like 2 hours, and you're like, I'm gonna watch the rest of the Kong fight.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go back and watch Kong again.
Mm-hmm.
Man, good to I'm up here at 12 o'clock going to work. So.
Yeah, facts. Now,
as
good to be
we are
assembled,
getting
man.
started into all of this, gentlemen, reason why we have gathered here today, we are here to talk about Justice League, the Snyder Cut. As we are getting going right now, if you can, I'm going to pitch it over to Cognito, and if you can, give us a rundown, and anybody who is new, and probably not, but because we got all of our best people in here, but let us know everything about the Iron Lords podcast, please.
Yeah, man, look, ILP, this is an extension of what we used to call Channel 5, which is a crew name from the South Bronx back in the day. Pretty much a whole bunch of wayward youths piling up at my house on a Saturday, whether it be video games, Kung Fu Flicks, sports, shout out to Mama Cog who allowed this craziness to happen in our youth. And man, it's just pretty much an extension of that. So, just reconnecting with my brothers and gaming and having fun, and, King getting all the systems and getting them, to debut all the consoles new and solving us with the sports games. And, it was just so many different people. It's a lot of lords, so to speak. You're getting the 3 or 4, now. And man, it's just video games always kept us together. Growing up in the South Bronx, wasn't the easiest. So, it kind of kept us out of trouble and stuff like that. And, it's something we just kept going. And then obviously we met Addict later on, and we took it to the YouTube thing, and people always said, like, we were in party chats and stuff like that, like, yo, you guys are hilarious. You should do a podcast or what have you. And we just finally did it. And, it's cool to see the growth. It's been a hell of a ride so far. It's been fun. Love podcasting. Even when I disagree with these lords, we still have fun. That's what we do, man. But I let the rest explain different parts of the saga. But that's the gist of it.
Nice.
4 lifelong friends, love gaming, sports, comics, movies. All this stuff that you do that it's kind of an extension of what we do. We've been doing, kind of.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. Solving that King can chime in.
I don't know. You really, I mean, you kind of like you
gave
the whole.
King's like, you got this. Don't worry.
You broke down the whole thing. Like, for us, I mean. We were, let's just say that we use a lot more colorful language when we were younger.
That's why when you didn't tell me that we was hot mic'd, I was like, hello.
You're fine.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like Cog was saying, an extension of the brand. We are very diverse in what we like and what we talk about. Like, we do movies, we do combat talk, it's like cheesy 80s stuff, like, karate flicks and stuff like that. We have varied tastes, opera and movies and what solves the theater.
Yeah, I'm like, when you talk about varied taste, we kind of are
all over the map.
Yeah, place.
And but what the common bond with everything is, video games.
Mm-hmm.
So that ties everything together, that puts the bow on it. But within that bow, and what Cog was explaining, Channel 5 is, wow, how many of
us?
There's so many
of us. So we lords, I don't know.
Yeah, it's so many of us, but we all try to stay as connected as possible. Like, we're all spread out all over the globe, but we try to stay, connected as possible. Got to give a shout out to Sinister to making it to
yes.
with us the year before last, before the pandemic. That was a big thing because he'd been to Iraq and stuff like that. Last time I saw him, he was skinny as hell. And it was good to see that, like us all, we gained some weight.
Yes.
I think that if there's a through line for us as a group, I think the word you would have to use is sort of inclusivity. We really, we come from nerd culture, from geek culture, and growing up, that was something that was not the norm, and that was something that got you ridiculed. And so we found solace kind of as a group, with each other. And then, as the years went on, how people identified us changed, because a lot more people that wouldn't sort of identify with geek culture and nerd culture, all of a sudden that was the mainstream. So, we've always been about, hey, if you find, if you feel like you don't fit in anywhere, you probably fit in with us. And I think we've carried that through line. I think Cog's done a really good job of, from the beginning, being like, this is who we are. We don't fall into that, the stuff you see online sometimes where, people are bashing one another, this cancel culture stuff. Like, not at all. Like, we'll talk to anyone. We're friends with anyone and everyone. It's all a matter of the love of gaming, the love of pop culture, and all these other things that we love, and just respecting one another. So if we have that common ground, we're good.
That's why I was happy to be able to have you guys, all of you guys, on the show today, because when I got the opportunity to join you last week, I loved it. I had a great time. The community seemed to enjoy it. And it was just, and I was like, I could just talk to you guys endlessly about games and movies, and obviously Justice League was hot topic. Shout out to Lucius Augustus in the chat for the $2 super chat.
First one.
And he has christened me.
That's right.
Officially, because I just made the YouTube partner program like a week ago. And so, Lucius, you have christened the Assemble show with your $2 super chat. Thank you very, very much. So, gentlemen, let's get into it. Today, we are going to talk all things Justice League, the Snyder Cut. We've all had an opportunity to watch it. Some of us have watched it more than others, many more times. But I would love to know your first impressions, and we'll kind of go around. You guys can choose who would like to kick things off, but give me your overall, just kind of Cole's notes to kick it off. What was your overall impressions, hot takes, takeaways from Snyder Cut?
Who's jumping in first?
Well, my first thought of it, because I watched Josh Whedon's movie first, and I right before, because I couldn't wait for it to release at was it 12 Pacific time, and I was like, oh my god, I gotta watch it again. So I didn't realize how broken the movie was until after I watched the Snyder Cut.
Good point.
How it was one thought. I don't agree with his views on heroes, nor do I agree on his views of the world.
Why, King?
Well, because his views is absolutely bleak, using from the color tones to how he views heroes. He views superpowers as a curse to the heroes, because all of his heroes are in some form of either hiding or never happy. Never happy at all. They're like, oh, these powers are a burden. So I'm like, okay, but taking that aside and seeing his vision, I was happy that he was able to tell a story. The story was told in its entirety, 4 hours and some change. And it didn't feel like 4 hours and some change. That's how you know that you're entertained.
Facts.
I've watched it, I think it's 3 times already. I'm going to watch The Gray. I started watching The Gray a little bit. That's the same thing I did with the Logan. Watched the movie twice. Really can't stand Logan, the movie itself. And that's maybe because
Slander.
Well, because I don't like the actor that plays Wolverine.
You don't like it at all.
You don't like Hugh Jackman?
I can't stand him.
What did he do to you?
The reason why I can't stand him is that he's the reason why we never got the costume. He's the absolute 1%. reason of why we never got the costume. They tried to push the costume on him. That's why they showed you the costume in one of the cutscenes at the end, like one of the bonus things.
Mhm.
He never wanted to put on the costume, and this is why I don't like when the actor has so much control of the character. I love when the director has the control, and this is what we're going to do, and this is my vision, and this is Zack's vision.
Yeah.
So Zack did this with each and every last character, from the model designs for the costumes to how they're displayed. Really don't like Wonder Woman's skirt so short, but again,
It's a little.
eye candy is eye candy.
You don't like this little bit of tease?
I don't. I mean, because I always thought Linda Carter was how can I say it? I know, but she was wearing Pantaloncini Joe on the outside, but
Respectable.
but I don't know. There's a difference with a skirt and then you can see up under the skirt. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, but it's just okay. His view of it is a very mature view of the world.
Yes.
When we got to see blood and we got to see absolute violence, and his heroes are mass murderers, right? Because they don't know how to diffuse a situation without killing the whole squad. Like, Wonder Woman comes in, I gotta kill everybody. So, and none of the kids are horrified that our superhero has landed here and killed everyone and saved us all, but no one goes to jail because everyone's dead, right?
Okay, there is that spot, like, just on Wonder Woman, when she's at the museum or the bank or whatever, like, and she, like, decimates them, and, like, she, like, murders this guy out the window, like, he's evaporated. There's nothing left.
Just his hat. That's
Yeah,
it.
his
Was
hat.
that overkill? Like, you're not going to have your day in court, sir. I'm your judge, your jury, and your executioner, right? So,
Oh my goodness. He was evaporated, and then the 5-year-olds are just like, I want to be like you.
oh, you're my
That is true.
hero. It was a blood stain on the wall.
Yeah.
The real reality of that scene is, it's just there's just blood everywhere, and there's bits of a man all over the place.
Yes.
12-year-olds are not even phazed.
Listen, it is real out there in Gotham, yo.
No therapy for
Yeah,
the
these kids have seen some things, man.
Whenever this stuff happens, I always want to see the next scene, the reality of it. Where she goes, you can be anything you want to be, and it cuts. I want to see the moment after where she bounces, she's out of there. And then what are these kids left with? They're like, who's the guy who's got to clean this up?
Nobody had blood on them. No kid is going to be traumatized and in therapy for the rest of their lives.
Hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, it is Zack Snyder's vision of superheroes. It's like, it's the Image Comics version of the DC universe. It is very, this overly grounded sort of take on these heroes. And even though, and the funny thing is, the contrast there is that he has this bleak vision of them, right?
Yep.
But then he's very invested in the imagery of superheroism, right? Like more than even if you look at the MCU, like Zack Snyder always, the slow-mo is one thing, right? The slow motion is he wants to make sure that he forces emotions on you in specific places where he wants you to feel certain things very slowly. And then there's always that, that heroic stand-up moment, cape billowing in the wind type thing that that's his signature. So it's very weird that he is that bleak and dark, and then he goes and he always gives you those moments. But for me, quick hot take is that the moment I started watching, I'm like, this is a different movie.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is a different movie. Like, when you really stop and think about the scenes that are taken right from the original cut, it feels like it's very few.
Yeah.
And even the ones that are in there are contextualized much differently.
It's
So
the music.
the music, it's everything. It is everything.
Yeah.
We didn't even get the Aquaman. What is it? The Iggy Thump at the
Oh, yeah.
on the docks. They changed that, and it's
They
all
changed
slow,
that
it's all
completely.
dramatic and slow, more slow.
Hey,
Turns
don't
into
dramatic
something
and
totally
slow.
different. Music can change the way that the scene is being set, and
way it's
also his
perceived.
aspect ratio. And they tell you in the beginning.
Shout out to 4-3 or the 16:9 TV though. Shout out to 4.
Yes, shout out to him for putting the black bars on the sides instead of on the top. But his view of the world, it's in that old. It felt old but new.
Yep.
You know, so it's his view. But go ahead, Saf. I apologize. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, not at all. Like it just so beyond that, like as I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, Zach, people, the general thought coming out of this, right? After day one, a lot of people really enjoyed him. Like, oh my God, Zack Snyder, thank God he came back, this, that, and the other. You know, let's put things in perspective and remember that people weren't necessarily super enamored with aspects of Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, Zack Snyder comes back and he's the savior. I'm like, let's remember this. Like, let's remember, like, if we had gotten Zack Snyder's Justice League in the theaters, the theatrical cut of what we were going to get probably still isn't as thorough as what we saw with this version, right? We're not getting a 4-hour theatrical cut. That's just not the way they do things.
Right.
So, you know, putting that into perspective, I'm like, this is the only forum where we're going to get this exact product. This is the only way it would have happened. So
I felt that it was take it for good and take it for bad. The circumstances allowed for it.
The pandemic allowed for this.
It was a perfect storm to allow
100%.
this to happen because in the movies where he was trying to pitch it to Warner Brothers and he was going hard as hell, for the 4-hour plus film, they said it wasn't viable. Theaters did not want that. Because to give an intermission to such a large scale movie was seen as a problematic. You know, people leaving the movie theater and they being able to come back. You got to really think about how that's going to really work. You know,
logistically how that works.
Yes, exactly. You know, in smaller movie theaters where they don't have as much security and stuff like that. So that aspect of it was a problem. Then run times, as far as getting your money, your value for it. This was. HBO Max seems to be designed for this format.
Yes, 100%. And I think so thinking that way and saying, okay, this is the best we're going to get in that regard. I love what he did because if you look at the MCU, right? The MCU is essentially one long season of TV. That gives us, 20 to 24 episodes of an extended story, and they're able to flesh it out that way.
Yes.
DC doesn't have that luxury. That's not what they were going to do.
Correct.
So what he was able to do with this, yes, is it contrived as a product? Sure. Yeah. He wants to force you to feel certain things in certain aspects. That's his style as a director. He wants to force certain moments where you're like, you should be crying here. You should feel emotional here. Whether it works or not, it's dependent on the person watching the movie. But I think what he did very well that needed to be done was to hold your hand through this story. And I'm not a hand-holdy type of guy. Like, I'm like, don't tell me everything. Show me everything, and show me in a smart way. And the way he showed everything in this movie, some of it was again, hammer over the head, subtle, but it worked to make you at the very least care about the plight of these characters and to see where they were coming from in a way that no 2-hour movie could ever do. Like we've seen with all the Netflix TV shows, with the TV shows now on Disney Plus, that honestly the real way to tell these characters' stories in a way that is that references comics in the right way, it's probably a TV show, right? Because they need that sort of exposition.
That's what I've noticed with Falcon, Winter Soldier, and WandaVision is that it's especially, I mean, both of them, I guess, but I've noticed that format is allowing those characters to breathe. And now that when I said this the other day, but I'm like, when we get Falcon in the next MCU film, and maybe he only has, because you got 2-hour windows, so he's got limited dialogue, limited screen time when you're dealing with so many characters, but what he says and who he interacts with, it's going to mean more because it will just have more weight to it because whatever he's involved in, you've now got a backstory of at least 8-10 episodes, whatever, to look at that and go, man, you understand where he's coming from, his backstory, his childhood, all of this stuff. And so I think it does a great job of, flushing out all of these characters.
Flushing the characters out, making you care about them.
I like that you're able to add the subtleties of a comic book into these shows.
Yeah.
Because the subtleties of the books, I'm watching, I'm going crazy over little things like, you know, the original Captain America, that story.
I'm learning stuff.
And,
Yeah, that was
you know, Flag Smasher and the inclusion of mutants and the costume design, you know, from costume design and stuff like that. I just feel that to survive in this space, these services is how comic book movies and shows should thrive.
Yeah.
You know, it should thrive in this space, in this manner, because you're able to grab the attention of the audience and they can pause it. They can go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You know, they can be intrigued by it. You can go to the little minutia of why this is this way, certain dialogue on how they interact and what's the dynamic of why.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that was cut out of the Joss Whedon cut was the Flash's
origin, or not the origin, but his introduction.
It was a little bit more, because they did certain things that made the Flash look a certain way and was presented a certain way.
Yeah.
But Zack Snyder made sure that he had his love interest.
Yes.
You know, that he was this ADHD thinking guy, but it wasn't because he was ADHD. It's because he when he has a conversation with a person, it's like long and drawn out, because he lives in seconds.
Yeah.
While we live moment to moment, hour to hour, whatever, he's actually agonizing, dealing with normal people. So when he's talking to him in a hurried manner, and he's having his his thoughts, you know, like vomit all over the page. Like, you know, it was a lady, she was counting pennies. I'm like, let her in, please. Come on, get on. You know, like this would be how the Flash is.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, when he turns so fast that he rips out of his shoes. And I love the fact that they had the lightning bolts on his sneakers.
Yeah.
And he rips out of it and he runs, and and Zack did have some comedy in it, because remember, the Flash is a child compared to these old titans. You know, Batman is battle weary. Wonder Woman has been here for centuries. Right. You know, Superman is a little long in the tooth as well. You know, Aquaman definitely has been doing, you know, adult things. He's learning his powers. So he grabs a hot dog and, you know, and when everything's all said and done, he's feeding the dogs. You're like, why is he grabbing a hot dog in the middle of this? But you also saw the care that he wrapped her up with, because the subtle push of him on the human body can break a bone. So he's wrapping her very nicely, very gently, and he's taking her down. And you're like, why is he swallowing her like a baby? But then you see when he does push somebody, when he pushes the parademon goes flying, a light push. So I love how Zack Snyder uses the slow motion. A lot of people said it was overuse. I say
in that instance, it was perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect in certain things.
Yeah,
you know, it's his vision was true. The Frankenstein movie, if you ever go back to after watching it, it kind of makes you
the Frankenstein.
Yeah, I mean, it really, if you ever go back to watch that original movie, it is night and day different. It doesn't have a soul, whereas this one, even though the through line is very direct, there's nothing that surprise you, you know, in terms of like, you know, deep thinking, anything like that. But what it does well is it introduces you to these characters and makes you care about them, where they've come from, and what they're about to face. Yeah, and he does everything to sort of set that up for you.
And they treated the characters with more respect, I found, in this version than, and I know it's because like they had so much time, right? But I think of Batman in the original scene when Superman comes down And they're outside with in front of the statue, and it's that moment where all the Justice League is lined up, and they're gonna take down Superman for the first time. In the original one, Batman's late, right? And then they poke fun at him because it's like, what took you so long? And they just kept burying him throughout the original movie because he's just a man and doesn't have any powers. Versus this one, now it's all he's got all of his suits. He's got all of his tech. He's got the extra like spider bat.
Exactly.
Like, he's got so much more to use, and they actually gave Batman more respect as the one to like bring Justice League together,
bring them together, and be sort of like the orchestrator.
He's got for powers. Cog, what were your initial impressions of?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I just want you to get that. I gotta help you host. You gotta get that super chat, man. You got another one. Another one.
I know. I said
not used to this now.
I am not.
You got to get into your super chat hosting
$5 super chat. You were fantastic. Alex says that good morning, everybody. Just wanted to say hello to Assemble and the ILP crew. Zack Snyder should do all the DC movies. It would be interesting to see if he does more and where we go with this, Alex's point, because they see the success of King's point of how many viewers, how many people subscribe to HBO.
They said that he was
watching this thing.
I mean, I would love to get.
They
Injustice.
just announced it. They announced that that he was going to link the Snyder would link the worlds from the TV shows to the movie.
So they are they acquiescing? Because I heard there was like a power struggle internal.
I think that's over. I think that
really
it's absolutely over.
That would be great.
And they're going to be telling from like a flashpoint type of view. So let's say one Superman isn't in it, they can use the Superman from the TV show. One Flash, they can use the Flash from the TV shows into weaving in between, because they're using that whole flashpoint thing, and it's an elseworld type of telling. You understand? So you will have the basic background of the characters, but the actual actors may change here and there because it's an elseworld type of thing.
Oh, because I thought they were dug in with their Suicide Squad stuff.
I think I sent it to the our chat, but because I'm monitoring it heavy.
Right.
Money dictates how these suits react.
Right.
Regardless to whatever your personal feelings is towards anything, when your absolute goal is to attain as much money for your product as possible, when one person can deliver that to you, your thoughts towards that person changes.
Right.
So if his philosophy changes your billions into trillions, I think we're going to have to go with his philosophy.
Correct me, because you guys are the experts on the DC stuff. So correct me if I'm wrong, King and Soft. Like, from my understanding, the top brass, what is it? AT&T. Somebody came in and acquired them, right?
Yes, AT&T.
Okay. So from my understanding, they were the top. This new acquisition. They were the one who were like, hey, we're gonna get this static cut out, as opposed to Warner and the internal stuff going on with them. Warner Brothers, not really. They were the ones pushing back and hating on the Snyder cut.
Warner Brother did not want to acknowledge it.
Yes, that's what I heard. Okay,
that it would destroy what they were trying to build. That's the reason why they didn't give him a Green Lantern in his film. They allowed him to use Martian Manhunter. They kind of actually hamstringed him with the rest of this. HBO strong-armed the situation. HBO put up the bread because HBO was trying to get content to go up against Disney and their streaming. Now, they have a long way to go. We have to see the retainership going through, because a lot of people got on for the 1 month. I watched Snyder Cut, I'm out. Let's see. 17 million in. We don't know how many stays. I believe a lot will stay. But AT&T, and AT&T is looking to sell off Warner Brothers, because AT&T wants what they purchase in the whole package, opposed to the DC stuff. They don't want to do books. They don't want to do movies. They don't want to have anything to do with that stuff. So a lot of that stuff they want to sell off.
I was looking at that too, King, of on the gaming side with WB, because that was the big rumor going around for the last couple of months, right? I was chomping at the bit, because I'm like, oh man, I want to see Batman game. I want to see all of these games. I want to see Rocksteady do another full-fledged Batman game or Superman game. And I was hoping that like Microsoft would just scoop them up and just put them under their umbrella. But Yeah, I've heard that too, that like they're not interested in all of these other pieces of the puzzle. Brap, salute to Matt and Lords. Zack set up the DC well. Unfortunate that his vision will not happen. Thank you for the $5 super chat, my friend. Cog, what were your thoughts on? I wanted to come back to you.
Sure.
What did you think overall about Snyder Cut? Key takeaways.
I have a unique perspective. I am clearly a Marvel fanboy. I don't hate DC, but I'm a Marvel fanboy, and I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, "Oh, I'm this historic king," and so I defer to them. When it comes to the DC universe, I'm a Marvel guy. That's what I know. However, I did watch the first one. The first one, the initial cut was at Whedon. You know, it had its moments, but then obviously there was moments that I felt just were inconsistent and didn't make much sense to me. You know, was it a fun film? Yes, but you know, it had its flaws, it had its issues. Seeing this after being told many times, "Yo, the Snyder Cut," you know, what's the deal? Coming in, I was really blown away because I felt so much context was given. I felt the people who benefited the most from me personally was Cyborg character. I felt he was really fleshed out. I understood because in the first one, I'm like, why is he? I get the accident thing, but it's like, why is he so angry with the father? Like, why is it? It's so. And shout out to the father. That's my dude from he always sacrifices. That's my dude from Terminator 2. He always pressing the button on himself, thinking he gonna save something. The villain still get away with whatever he tried to say. But that's a side case. I'm a Terminator guy. So anyway, long story. So that was that. I felt he really benefited. For me, again, as a casual, as a person, why are they teaming up? What is the history of the villains? And I felt they did that. The Steppenwolf was fire to me. Like, I got his motivations. I understood, you know, why he felt the way he felt. I found out he was, you know, he had some insubordination. You know what I'm saying? And then the Dark Sea, you know, I'm very intrigued. So they built this great hierarchy. And I love the scene from back in the day with the Amazons, the old gods, the old Green Lantern, and how they did it. So it just gave this great mythos leading that if the heroes unite, this is what would happen to save this world. And just the exposition of, you know, he's going to all these other worlds. It gave me, as a Marvel guy, it gave me Galactus vibe. Like, he's gone to all these worlds. He's conquered these worlds. And now, if you guys are not, because the dope thing they said is like, yo, this planet ain't got no kryptonium. They ain't got, I was like, oh, they scouting. Yeah. Like, I thought that was dope. Like, I was like, yo, this is cool. This is mythos. This is world building. Great stuff. So I love that. You know, everybody got their shine, you know, for the most part. You know, Wonder Woman a bit more. Superman was interesting because obviously, you know, when he came back, what you mentioned, I thought was a great scene. When he came back, the resurrection, so to speak, right? I thought that was done much better. I felt the confusion in the beginning with the first cut. He was just, I mean, it was cool to see them fight each other, but I'm like, why he being so wild? Like, I didn't get enough reasoning as to why.
Too many jokes.
Right.
Yeah. It's going to be like, what was that, Pet Cemetery? And I'm glad they didn't do the joke. And also, I love how they poke fun at them digging them up. He said, you know, we could do this in seconds, right? Why are we doing it?
Both of us, two of us could have
They poked fun at him digging up. They poked fun at the fact that it was another Snyder slow. It was another opportunity for a slow motion moment. It didn't happen.
But it didn't happen.
Yes. Yeah, it was really well done. Like I said, I love those moments. I love the world building. You know, my only nitpick is, I know King's gonna kill me for this because he's probably gonna say it's authentic. As the cat, I didn't like the Flash as much. I felt he was improved. I felt he played a significant role on the team. His scene at the end, especially. Right? I still struggle with him as a character. I felt they improved the showing, but like, King, no, I can't stand that run. I hate
his
that run with my soul. I don't
like Ezra as the Flash.
I hate that, you know.
Yeah, his portrayal as the Flash, for me, I think he was the wrong person to cast for it. Their respective Batman in this film, I didn't like the fact that Batman was the butt of the jokes in the last film. And I love how they showed that Alfred makes the tech.
Yes.
You know, and Alfred actually made the tech in the gauntlets. And Alfred, You know what? After thinking about it,
Let's go.
Alfred is really the Batman.
He is really Batman.
Yeah.
It's like he's projected himself onto
Into,
Bruce.
Yes.
onto Bruce. Like
Yes.
because all right, so Bruce is the blunt object, but Alfred is the scalpel that helps cut and carve it.
Yeah.
Right? Do you see how subtly he did it when Wonder Woman wanted to make tea?
Yes.
And all right, so this is how good his handling of someone is. She wanted to make tea and he allowed her to start, but he distracted her and went back and remade the tea perfectly, right? Without disrespecting her,
Right.
with her, because she didn't know what she was doing, and he was like, and he's very OCD-ic.
Yes.
Right, he has this OCD personality, and that goes well with a butler. It will definitely go well. So we always thought that he was there to serve Bruce, but he's
running this thing,
the show, right? Like when he's running the machine, and Cyborg gets into the machine, he goes, "I'll take it from here, Alfred.
Right.
Thank you." He's like, "Excuse me."
Yeah, excuse me. Like, hold up.
Do I know you? Wait a second, bro.
Yes, yes.
So it's like little aspects of that. He's so used to being in control and being in Batman's ear, and looking over him. It's very cool. But I understand what you're saying as far as that Flash and how he is not how you wanted him to be.
I think the reason being, and I figured out why. I think what it is because I know personally I would have wanted, the Flash like the
Guntherson?
CW, right? So, but I think what it is I think they purposely, because of the what's your man name from the Batman? Your man that's in everything. Used to date Jennifer. What's your man? Why I'm forgetting his name? Ben Affleck. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, he said Jennifer. Yeah,
your man.
Yeah,
so because they picked him, they went the older statesman route, right? And I feel this whole thing benefited him because it gave him. I've been leaning in from Batman to Flash. Batman benefited in this cut because he truly became like a leader in the sense of organization. We got to get this team together. We have to be unified.
And it was his vision.
Right. So it made sense for the older Batman, but I feel as a result, the Flash character kind of suffered because now he's forced to be pigeonholed into this younger understudy, which is a different take. It's not really it's just a different take on Flash. And regardless of what, though, I do feel this version definitely gave Flash more context because I despised him in the Whedon. Like I was just like, oh my God, I can't with these scenes.
He was his comic relief.
This is their version of Tony Stark's Spider-Man.
Yes, that's what I felt. It felt like the homecoming thing, like Daddy Batman or Daddy Stark. What can I do? Am I down? That kind of thing, right? But in this one, what I like what Zack did is he gave him moments where, let's be real, it was on the Flash to really kind of save the day. If he
doesn't go back, it doesn't happen.
It's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? So that part was really cool. And I guess my only other nitpick was I feel Aquaman was some things were fleshed out. The Gregorian chance with the women, I ain't get that far.
That was sniffing. It was a little.
The sweaters. Yeah, I was like, what is this?
When she was doing the Joe Biden. She's like,
and then it's like
dwelling beast.
See those are the moments. That's the contrived stuff you're talking about. Where in that moment he's like, I need you to feel something for him, and it's like, no, let it happen on its own.
But wouldn't that be it though? Wouldn't that see? And in that moment, I got what he was doing, right?
And I laughed at it though, which I wasn't supposed to, right?
Yeah. But, okay, so this guy comes when they can't go out to sea.
Right.
He's the roughest. He saves them. He helps them thrive as a community. He helps them get by this harsh time.
Right.
And as he's leaving and he's going back to the sea, they don't know how long he's gonna be there.
Right.
And they're like singing their folk song for him to go away. Right.
Okay.
So, but at the same time, they're fanboying over him as he's leaving and picking up his underwear or whatever.
Groupies, they're like Aquaman groupies.
Look, I'm gonna say something controversial. Like, I don't even feel he was needed. Like, I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe I'm going hard on Aquaman. Like,
yes,
he was okay.
I don't
didn't-
like him as Aquaman either.
They
I think
didn't
that was bad casting.
specifically. Yeah,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, I think Seamaster. If you watch the Aquaman film,
Mhm.
Seamaster is actually Aquaman. Blonde hair, blue eyes. That
Right.
his character
Right.
is Aquaman. 100%. If you take him and put him in that and stop worrying about being star driven and just being driven by character.
I felt like it was Jason Momoa out there.
Yeah,
just,
like what are you doing?
Yeah, like
It was Cal
just hanging
Drogo
out.
being
Yo,
Aquaman.
y'all need that gratuitous naked chest shot.
Yes,
Y'all need
this
that.
is it right here.
Like,
with the tattoos.
yeah, like to me, he was star power. Like it wasn't. I didn't really. And then the other thing is like, why are you not really assuming the mantle? Like, help me with the lore here. Like, what is the whole thing? He don't want to talk to his father. Like, what is that about? Like, I didn't understand.
Well, he's not mad at his father per se. He's mad at this point. He still hasn't gone.
That was in
through
that was the Aquaman movie didn't happen yet.
Didn't happen yet. So
Okay.
he doesn't know why his mother abandoned him.
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't
So
have
that's
the
his
gold
anger.
armor.
But okay, I got you. But my frustration with him is okay. Now it's real. Your man Steppenwolf went down there to get the thing,
But he
and
didn't
it's
think about
like
that.
I still ain't feel it was urgency with him to assume this role and
He
really
did not care about that.
Yeah, like how was you not caring? Like this is the end of the world, fam.
All right,
Like
he didn't. He all the stuff from the movie
Yeah.
when he finds himself when he because remember he is an outsider,
okay,
right? He's half Atlantean, half
Right.
human, right? So when you go back down there, it's like okay. So I was watching this documentary on Black Japanese.
okay,
Right, and they're half Japanese, half black, and these kids are homeless. Right, they grow up in foster homes and stuff like that. They're abandoned, and they grow up there, and they're looking mixed.
Right.
They speak straight Japanese, and they're from there.
right,
And the level of racism that they encounter is insane.
okay.
Right now, take that for Aquaman. He's mixed. He goes
Got
to
you.
this
Okay.
world, and they're like this air breathing. He can walk on air amongst these people. You know how much hate he's gonna get down here, and they're like, "Oh, you assume the mental because your father has this bastard child." You know the hate, and he's assuming the throne. When you have a full-blooded his brother, Seamaster, you have a full-blooded Atlantean that's here. They would rather galvanize and stay behind him. He has to prove himself. He hasn't proved himself yet. Yeah. So this movie goes a long way in him assuming that role and being a hero. He learned to be a hero here, and he took it forward into the Aquaman movie. And then after this, then he'll be a full hero. But
because the thing is, it would have been hard to create the context for why he was pushing back on Bruce to join it, right? Because he would have been a hero already. He's like, okay, I'm in with you, right? There would have been no conflict there.
Okay, got a simple because I had a question.
It's Aquaman was almost unnecessary for a lot of it because I agree with you that
no water.
If you want to bring him in, maybe just have him as a surprise. Because you're right. If you have Bruce go up and try to get Aquaman, recruit him, and if he's just like, yeah, sure, sounds good, then you're like, well, what's the point of this scene, or what's the point of any of this if everyone's just cool with it? I find that it was hard because you did have a lot of time, but you had to pick and choose too. I think Cyborg's story was incredible.
Yes,
and I think it was the Cyborg origin movie in the first half.
Yes,
Flash treated way better, flushed out.
Yes,
and I think you had to make the sacrifice of we can't really get into Aquaman, so here's a bit. I almost feel like maybe you just cut all that. And you leave him as a surprise third act.
Yeah.
I guess, or something, right?
I guess the reason why is because I like usually with superhero team up movies, I always feel there's that moment everybody has, right? And I didn't feel he had a moment. Like I felt like even when, all right, let's get past the origin and I deflect to you guys, defer to you guys with the lore. But like even now it's the end, like I don't feel he had a moment that I was like, yo, that's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Like, I feel everybody has some moment memorable, or maybe just power wise. I didn't feel like he was showcased that I'm like, okay, this is what Aquaman brings. We in here. Like,
he saved them from when they were getting out of the tunnel.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
know,
even before then, I think if they had been a bigger fight scene around
water.
around Steppenwolf,
Yes.
around water, but around
Water.
Steppenwolf taking that
Yeah.
mother box. Like
Yes.
if there had been real loss of
Yeah.
Atlantean life when
Yeah.
Steppenwolf took the mother box and he saw that and reacted
He
to
wouldn't
that,
care.
That would
it
have been.
wouldn't. But if you never,
would
he
not
wouldn't. He was
care.
supposed to not care. But if you
Mhm.
see your
Only
people
person he cared about
dead.
was Mara.
Yeah.
You understand? Because she was the only one reaching out to him, pushing him to assume the throne, pushing him to go for the mantle of leadership.
Mhm.
Okay, this is what happens when you don't get a chance to use Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is what happens when you limit the character base
Mhm.
into you pigeonhole them where, okay, well, you're only going to get the core members, right? So when you give them Aquaman and he has to work around it and fit him in there, Green Lantern would have fit a whole lot better. Shazam would have fit a whole lot better. There's other characters that they were able to use. I mean, that they could have used that could form a Justice League movie. When you have this scenes that doesn't involve water,
Yeah,
and
that's
you have this land-based.
Thank you. That was my
land-based-
issue. You figured it. I'm like, he
Yeah.
Aquaman,
Man.
and we
They're
not.
tossing him in the
Aquaman.
air. and
Yeah.
You don't fly. You're not Namor. You don't have wings on your feet.
Facts.
So you're being tossed by other people to go do your job. Like, and
Why you gotta be tossed?
well, if Cyborg didn't come and grab him,
No, because
he'd fall into his doom.
it is that thing, right? It is that thing, right? When you see
Yeah.
Bruce going around to get
Facts.
these heroes, right? And you wonder what was his thinking? He's like, I gotta get this water breathing dude. I need him.
This- I agree. There should have been a scene with the water involved at the end, and like to utilize his talent. Like I feel, what is he out there? He not really doing much. And
There
then,
was
Close
no
to a
beef
cliff.
in
Like,
the
there's
water.
all around.
No beef in the
Pause.
water.
There was no beef in the water. Pause.
Why
I'm
didn't
just
they do that
saying.
at the beginning? Like that would have been a cool intro with Bruce. Bruce is do the
Right.
whole thing. Bruce finding him, trying to locate
Yes.
him, but
Yes.
have it like, where is this guy? And instead
Yes.
of the bar scene, or maybe push the bar scene.
Yeah.
do an
But how
intro
you gonna
thing of,
find him
like
in the
him coming
ocean?
out of the water and just just taking guys down left
Yeah.
and right, and then getting out of the water and grabbing a whiskey? You would have been like, this guy's a badass.
Yeah.
Yes.
You'd be like, are you the Aquaman? He's like, no.
All right. So okay.
Okay.
And nobody's addressing the elephant in the room.
What's the elephant in the room?
Was
Superman
Mhm.
was a savior in Joss Whedon's film.
Yeah.
The Flash was a savior.
Yes.
there.
Yeah. Correct.
Because if you go back and watch the endings, because I really had to go back
Right.
and watch the endings, I'm
Right.
like, how did Steppenwolf get out of here?
Mhm.
Oh, they made him fear,
Mhm.
and then the paradigm is turned on, which was idiotic within itself.
Right.
And then he boom tubed it out of there. In this one, Zack stayed true to form. Let the heroes be murderers.
Mhm.
We kill you. You come over here, bruh. Like
You're gonna lose your head, homie.
We're gonna send your man
You
back.
can send your man back. You go FedEx his head back
Got
to the
chicks
portal.
over here chopping heads off.
Mafioso. It's like,
He mafioso.
Yo, and they threw the body back through the portal with the head on the other side. Like, this is what happens if you mess with us, bro.
they stand there staring down Dark Side. Like, yeah,
hard.
what?
That's right. Come through, and he said, "Oh, we're gonna do it old school style. We can get these hands
We're gonna
ready.
take our time.
They want to
We're
close
gonna
the
go long
room
way
too.
around because I can't deal with this guy.
We're gonna
He's
find
just
this
flipping him off.
But
my god.
it was nice to see because all right, so Josh Whedon has this inflated view of Superman that he is God himself, right? So that's where that take came from, right? And then Zack, of course, and his Zack has to have bleakness. It has to be absolute bleak. Okay, there's literally no hope. If the Flash doesn't run back in time,
Facts.
there is no hope. It's over.
dub.
They've
It's a
been
dub.
obliterated. They've
It's a
been
dub.
conquered.
Yeah.
That's it.
Dark side comes through. There is no heroes. There's nothing. He gets everything that he wants. And the Flash makes it through and changes it. He's wounded, he's hobbled, but that was Flash's
That was
come
dope.
story.
Yeah.
I
That
like
was
that.
him becoming a hero.
Yes.
That was him pushing beyond because he said, you got to run faster. You got to heal.
Yeah,
He
I liked
forced his
that.
body
Yeah,
to
I like
heal
that.
to get back. And instead of Superman's always used to being the hero.
Yes.
Because even the Flash said in that movie, oh man, I'm not gonna, if you ain't gonna say, I'm gonna say, you know, we need him.
Mm-hmm.
When the hero was inside of him the whole time. We needed you, not him.
Facts.
You know, he's a tool, he's a blunt object, you know, to fight, but we needed a scalpel at this point in time, and he was that precision cut that actually brought it straight through and brought it back. So I thought that aspect of it, that's how you can tell a Frankenstein movie, because the ending itself, you know, when Cyborg, you have so much context in there. Cyborg was actually, we didn't see what he saw. From the first time when he was inside interacting with him, and they're telling him, be careful, we don't know what you're going to see in there. Are you sure you're ready? And they used, the father had to die. The mother had to be dead. And the mother boxes was telling him, you could be whole if you just, you know, just give yourself over. Just let it happen, baby. Just let it happen. And he's like, no, I'm whole alone. I'm already whole. I'm already one. And he's separating it, and then you sort of change. So,
and it was good context because it tied back to the conversation Wonder Woman had with him, saying like, okay, I know you're alone, but you know, it takes a while for people to open up. And then he's kind of opening up and realizing he's part of his team. And he like they linked it really well. Like he got the most benefit out of this cut.
He was the heart of the movie.
Yes.
Do you understand why he was so upset now with all the disgruntledness and all that with Josh Whedon? Because this is how I felt with Jared Leto when they did all that to him with Suicide Squad. He has over 45 minutes of scene of the Joker. Literally, I feel that he is, in my opinion, the best person to ever pick up the mantle of the Joker. And I know that's controversy.
That's spicy right there.
They're like, oh, the dead guy, he's the one that's the best one. No, I'm telling you this. Being the fact that he's such a method actor, and both guys are, right? So all of this is subjective, right? All I can go on is limited screen time. They gave him this limited screen time to perform. But I could see why Jared Leto was so pissed off with his scenes being left in the gutter. And Cyborg felt the guy, the actor that played Cyborg, you hear all of the problems that he had with Josh Whedon. Right?
I didn't know.
This is why. You had literally 45 minutes of him backstory, because without all the stuff that you know right now, you're like, why is this guy here? What is he doing? What is he here for?
Exactly. He's here because a mother box changed him, and we need the mother box.
We didn't know that in the first one. Like we didn't know any of this. I loved it with Cyborg's story because I actually understood the reasons for the mother box existing, why Cyborg was interconnected with it, and how he really just evolved. The first one is just his dad, he dead. His dad brings him back to life. There's no context for the box, and then Steppenwolf comes in. He's like, I need my boxes back. And you don't know why, like you guys said, you don't know why Cyborg is so angry beyond like rationale throughout the whole movie. And now you get it where you're like, oh, he's the core of all this. So when they go later at the end of the movie and he's touching it and he's seeing through everything, it all makes sense. It gels together. And I felt like they flopped all of that, and you can see why they would be so mad.
Especially if
Cyborg actor, because they flopped all that. How did you guys think speaking of Jared Leto, what did you think, and I wanted to get this in for the show, what did you think of the post-credit scene that we had, that whole piece?
Anybody who's played Injustice knows that is in line with what the Injustice storyline is. We
don't know if the Joker kills her.
Right. They insinuate that it's him, right? They insinuate that
they said that he's needed for something.
Right.
Why? That's why we brought him along. But remember, in the Injustice, Superman already killed him.
Yes.
Right? Remember, he sticks his hand straight through his body. He doesn't, and he blames Bruce for letting him live for so long that you could have ended this a long time ago. That's why that scene was so absolutely important, because he says something to Bruce and he's calling him Bruce. He's not calling him Batman.
He's just disrespectful.
Right.
With
He's
it.
calling him Bruce
Yeah.
because he knows him so intimately. They're already intimately intertwined at this end. Now, if you saw Batman versus Superman, on the back of Batman's gun in those scenes, he has the Joker card, right? It's taped to the back of the gun. Now, this is the reason why that card piece was so prevalent, and he blows it out and he says, take this and we will have parlay. A truce, if you will, Bruce. Right? And all you have to do is rip it up, and I'll tell you what you want to know about how I killed the Robin and how he begged for his life. And when are you going to have the balls? He wants to know how many worlds have to die. How many people have to die before you get the balls to die yourself? So it's really Bruce's fault that why she dies, because if the Flash goes back in time to tell him that Lois Lane is the key,
right,
then Bruce is probably the one that's supposed to take the bullet or whatever for her, that he doesn't, and Superman turns over. So I really honestly don't believe that it's the Joker, but Joker is keen on the behavior and the reason why Superman has turned and Darkseid has got control over him.
So you're saying the Joker is just sort of there to hold it against him. It is kind of like the measure, like Batman's sort of like a moral compass that he keeps him there to sort of.
I don't know what other reason.
Because if you look at what Snyder has said that the other two Justice movies were supposed to be,
right,
it goes wild. Like
yes.
like this happens, and basically Bruce and Lois get together.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
he's gonna
when Superman knows that Darkseid is coming back, he entrusts Lois to Bruce.
What's this entrusting?
He entrusts because somehow they know.
Like when Floyd went to jail and 50 Cent control the Floyd.
He entrusts her safety to Bruce, and in protecting her.
He gotta entrust anything. Where he at? Where he going?
He's fighting Darkseid. I guess it's a full time. This is a full time job.
This is a weekend thing.
He punching the clock. So he's like, you gotta stay over there. Okay.
In that protection, something happens.
In that protection.
and so Superman, something happens. She dies. So for Superman, the betrayal is double, right? The betrayal is double because
left at the babysitting clinic. What the hell?
That's the thing. Supposedly, there is a child that comes of this.
We gotta look.
There's a whole. Look it up. Zack Snyder has some wild ideas.
Wow.
There was the part when they did the post credit and they have the scene of Darkseid coming in and touching Superman. They're in the Batcave because in the background you can see Robin's suit.
Yep.
In there.
And that scene where you have Superman's that body he had, that's Lois's body.
Right.
But we don't know why they're in the why are all of them why is Lois in the Batcave? Why are they all in there? Like, why is Batman just hanging out with Lois in the Batcave? And Superman is there.
But you send him with the most eligible bachelor in Gotham City.
He's like, I got this weird alien boyfriend. He just leaves to go.
He just leaves.
Wow.
Exactly.
Bruce
sunshine.
And then Bruce, Diana's not giving Bruce any play because she's still in love with her, 1,000-year-old dead.
Well, no, she actually gets with Superman, but
yes.
that's something that's after the fact.
Exactly.
Yeah. So also, but Zack also wanted Batman raped.
Lord. Yes, I remember that foolishness.
Gloss over his wants of these heroes.
Yes.
Dark man.
Yeah, so we're gonna send him to jail and he's gonna rape him.
done.
I don't know what's going on, Zach.
I don't know what's that about, Zach. I don't know what that's about.
Blood in, blood out.
Why
American v. Batman.
Why he has to be raped in order to fight criminals better?
Yo.
I've learned this from the Reach Around movie.
I'm done with you.
Want to see my Batwing? No.
Oh my Lord.
And then that also makes more sense in context when Jared Leto says, "But who's gonna give you a reach?"
Who's gonna give you
There you go.
Yo, so
Oh my
okay,
God.
so me going back to Jared Leto because
Yes.
actually I'm gonna cap for this dude like no tomorrow.
Oh my God.
Well, the thing is, it's not his fault. Like, I think his characterization of the Joker is great. He wasn't given good material, right? He wasn't given, like, he's an actor. He's working with what he's given. Did he decide that he wanted to put, whatever the tattoos on his forehead? No, that was
the gold teeth in his mouth.
Yeah, that wasn't him. Like, he's working with the character, and I think the craziness that he brings to that Joker.
You saw his eyes at the end.
Yeah, he's like he does a very good job of it. I just don't think the material he was given was great. Like, he was not given Heath Ledger levels of Dark Knight.
We're
gonna put respect on Heath.
No, but he wasn't given that. Like, Heath is an actor too. If he was given crap material, it would have been a crap.
I'm not gonna give Heath all that, like, because Heath was the star villain in that movie.
Okay,
right?
fair enough, right?
In Suicide Squad, he had a larger role that was cut and left on the floor.
Yeah, I feel you.
He was really the star, but they want to make Will Smith. Like, this is why I don't like names being larger than the actual material.
I feel that.
When I first saw his portrayal of Joker in trailers and stuff like that, when they first announced it, I'm not gonna, besides the way he looked, remember we first saw him in pictures and everybody was like, this is disgusting.
Right.
Remember when we saw trailers, everybody's like, hold up.
We going here.
Hold up. So the portrayal, I think, is fine. It's just that he wasn't given enough to work with. And then, like, to King's point, well, the stuff that probably would have fleshed him out and made him feel more like a real character was left on the cutting room floor.
Right.
Because, and I was kind of expecting more Joker in this movie.
Yeah.
As opposed to this epilogue thing.
And I thought we would get flashback scenes or alternate dimension stuff throughout. I mean, it was great. And then within that 2 minutes, there's so much happening with Flash in the armor.
I was about to say that.
Traveling back in time to talk to Bruce. You've got Deathstroke there.
Why he there?
Okay, well, I'll explain, but go ahead, finish your thought.
No, just that I thought it was really cool that they went down that path to get these survivors are still here. Because you have shots of Green Lantern's dead and the Justice League actually crumbled and everything. Like, they threw so much within a little epilogue.
Yeah.
It was
well, because what it was Josh Whedon Freudian slip. Zack Snyder had a deal for after this movie was done, they was going to release the books. Right, so it was supposed to be comic books that he has it all written up. All that stuff is already written up and done. It was not supposed to be a next movie. It's supposed to be released in books to tell the story of the dark side scenes. Because when you see in Batman versus Superman, when Batman's having that scene and he's fighting the parademons and stuff like that, and they grab him up, to bring him forth in front of Superman, and Superman comes down the tube, and he's like, boom, and they all bow down to him. Because he actually conquers Earth, know, and Bruce is the direct reason why this has happened. Now, this has happened because of what he's done with Lois, and Lois is actually dead because of the situation. Did she die because of the Joker? I don't think nothing would stop Superman from getting to the Joker at this point in time. So it's little things like this that show that he had a thought out universe and how that he was going to use it, but he wasn't able to. So we feel that if he had given the chance, like you said, why Deathstroke will be there? Deathstroke will be there because he's the ultimate survivor.
Right.
Why would Mara be there? Actually, she's more capable than Aquaman himself,
Right,
because
he
she
ain't make it.
almost killed Steppenwolf
what she did in
underwater
Bubbles
by
and
herself.
everything.
Had she had distance on him, he would have been dead.
Mm.
You know, literally, because she would have just, you know, drowned him to death under the water.
Question though, the dark side
Hold his
scene
head
with that.
down.
The dark side scene with him putting a hand on the shoulder of Superman over Lois, like, what is that supposed to represent? Like, give me the lore. Like, is this him working with Darkseid?
Okay,
is
so
this him wild? Like, give me the lore.
I tried to tell you to look at it's called, all right, if you watch all the cartoons, those are Elseworld type of things, or DC 52. If you look at Justice League War and Darkseid Apocalypse,
Okay,
you know, they're different takes on Darkseid coming in, and you can really know who Darkseid is. Darkseid is really a badass. Like, if you look at Justice League War, you will have fun watching that. He's also really, really big. Pause. Him putting his hand on Superman's shoulder, he's telling them that these heroes betrayed you. You are as a god, and you're playing human with these humans. You are not of them. You're not from them. You were sent here to conquer them, not to be of them and amongst them. Like the same way, if you're watching the TV show Invincible, and you see Omni-Man is basically Superman, right? So the Carbonite race is conquerors throughout the galaxy. They don't want to tell you that. That's the same thing with the Kryptonians.
Got you.
That's why they send him to a place knowing that the yellow sun will enhance him to a point where he is a god amongst men. Why are you sending this kid here knowing that he will be above, you know, the species that's here? They're set here to conquer. That's why.
No, that makes sense now.
Yeah, it is that. I don't know if you've seen the movie Brightburn. Brightburn is the idea of this superhuman being was not sent as a savior. He was sent as a conqueror. And you know, Superman is only Superman because of the upbringing that he had.
What, that he was kidnapped, Stockholm syndrome, the fact that his parents put him to work at slave labor throughout the farm, and as soon as he finds a girl in the city, the farm goes to crap and she loses it to foreclosure, and he doesn't care. That part. Because you know they captured an alien and they put him to servitude on a farm. Technically, if you look at it, they
found an alien. They captured him. They found him.
They captured him afterwards. Okay, so was he not pulling tractors? Was he not tending to?
They indoctrinated him. It's
a
human way of exactly. It's like, look, listen, man. This is what we do here.
That's
all that other stuff is nice, but you need to hide that.
Be normal until I tell you to pull a tractor with your back and clean that field. All right, clean the field and tend to all the horses and make sure that we milk all the cows and make sure everything is done. And get that to the city and get back over here while they sitting inside the house looking at their watch like he's slowing up today. Superman, get busy, baby.
If you think about it,
how come their house wasn't paid off?
After like 40 years.
40 years. Why they get this
Why
paid?
they still got a mortgage? Like, what's going on? Like, what's happening here that your house get foreclosed upon? Wait a second. How come you are the strongest man in the world? You can fly. You don't fly them to some place where no people are and build them a house in seconds and they can have their house and stuff like that. Why is it the banks taking over your mother house and the first person you see is the chick that you've been messing with, but not your mother who's going from apartment to apartment, living in the truck? What is going on there?
Oh man,
this is the absolute reason why I do not mess with Superman. I'm a Hawk fan.
I mean, Superman really is. He is really like the Hollywood Hogan of, like, he's better as a heel because as a hero he's just OP.
He's a simp.
He's a simp. He's a simp, and he's OP, and he's better served being the foil and being the one that you have to try to stop some way, shape, or form.
Right.
Like,
All I got in
And
my
I-
head is
I-
just
and I
Superman
think-
lifting up a house. This is come on, mommy. I gotta take you to Florida.
I gotta
You could just move the house. Like you could
Just
literally
move it a couple of yards.
the bank is coming to take the house. Not today. I say
relocated
the
to the
name.
top of like
He's
Mount
willing to
Everest if
destroy
you
the
want.
universe for Lois, but then
Yes.
if it's like, well, the bank's gonna take your mommy's house, he doesn't want to like grab a banker and just chuck him across.
Like, listen,
Check
yo,
out
listen,
those.
get,
None of
get-
that.
get
None
this
of-
part right.
Mhm.
The funniest thing in all the land for me
Mhm.
was in Batman versus Superman
Mhm.
when Lex Luthor said, "Yeah, you know, I got the woman of your life, like your best girl or whatever,"
Mhm.
and he was like, "Lois is safe." Like, it's like not her,
She's fine.
mommy, and he has her with horror written on her head.
Yo.
He has the
Yeah.
cards and he's throwing the pictures down on the floor. He's like, "Oh God, not
Yeah,
mommy."
I was not a fan of Jesse Eisenberg's.
I love him.
But that moment,
I love
that
him.
moment,
That moment was a
how
good
you
moment.
become a villain. I
That was a
love
good
him.
moment. That was a good
that's the
moment.
moment when the bully turned the tables. And
Yeah. Facts.
That's how rich like evil villains move. They move like that. They don't worry. Oh, we're not gonna shoot. We know bullets don't harm you.
Mm.
We got your
Okay.
moms.
Guys, we
I
got-
think
Hold it
last
down.
question for y'all before I know we go along.
yeah.
But I know we didn't get to touch on what is it, Martian Manhunter,
Mhm.
and also obviously you guys mentioned your man Lex at the end and stuff like that. So like, what was y'all feeling about the inclusion of let's start with Martian Manhunter, him being in it.
Yeah, I could have done without it.
Mhm.
I just think the movie it's 4 hours long. And we got so much. I
Yeah.
felt like it wasn't that post-credit moment that you really even needed.
Okay.
I think you could have done something else.
Mhm.
Maybe you wanted to introduce him, I don't know, somewhere else in the movie. I just didn't feel like you needed him as
Gotcha.
that final end piece
Mhm.
because the universe that's being set up is confusing in itself, just from a Snyder standpoint of like,
Yeah.
are we gonna get? What does this mean? Are we supposed to get a Martian Manhunter movie? Are we gonna get?
Right.
Where is this
Yeah.
even going? And I also think that for large general audience, like we're all geeking out about it, going, okay, cool, like that's really cool. But average viewers, like, who's this guy?
Who is that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
for
me. I'm the
DC.
cash. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was like. What's going
And so
on?
that's why I feel like for larger audience, they'd be like, again, that's how they kind of end it.
Yeah, because my casual cog or DC universe, I was like, okay, what was the motivation behind him impersonating the mother to Lois? I didn't feel there was. I liked that whoever he was came through, but I wanted to know what was the motive. I didn't feel that was explained, that part.
Yeah, and
I
it
think-
just
and I
kind of
think-
dropped
yeah.
into the world of like, I'm gonna try and push Lois forward. Which
Right.
could have just revealed himself and just been like, "Hey,
Mhm.
I'm a Martian, and you
Yeah,
got to smarten
I
up
don't-
because we
and-
gotta
and
get
you-
this done."
I
gotta
don't
get
think
this
that
done,
works.
Yeah.
I think how he did it kind of works. But the weirdest thing about that whole thing is, okay, one, this is why WB's interference in Zack's whole vision hurts them, because you could have had Green Lantern where it's supposed to have
Yeah.
been Green
Supposed to be
Lantern
green.
throughout a lot of these scenes, and
Mhm.
he wanted to use them, but again, they didn't want to use them because they wanted to use the Black Green Lantern
Mhm.
for these scenes, not
Mhm.
Hal Jordan himself. So because
Mhm.
there's supposed to be two Green Lanterns that patrol Earth.
Earth.
You know, okay, so Martian Manhunter, we already seen him in the Superman movie,
Mhm.
and we seen him again in the Batman versus Superman movie, not knowing that was Martian Manhunter throughout this whole time,
Mhm.
being the general inside the army.
Right.
You know, so that was Zack tying those threads through, giving you this character. Now, when he shows up at the end, he is as strong as Superman.
Yes,
Martian- yeah.
that's the thing. Like
Yeah,
they didn't need Superman. He could have just interfered.
Yeah,
Like if he
had
wanted
he
to.
showed up to fight and just not let them fight alone, which he was always in the background. Why didn't you show up to absolutely fight and stop Steppenwolf?
Mhm.
And you know these heroes needed somebody of your caliber. That could have been used there.
Mhm.
Why did he tell Batman at the end, well, you know, when Darkseid show up, that's when I'll show up, type of thing?
Yeah.
Steppenwolf, I knew y'all had that. Like,
Did you see the portal? Like, he's right there.
like, all right, but that he was giving you, because everybody expected Green Lantern. He gave you, Martian Manhunter only because WB said, you can use him.
Right.
This is the character that you can use for it.
We got it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
final thoughts as we wrap up here, guys.
Yeah.
Got a couple of minutes here left. Do you think? I wanted to ask this question to all of you though. Do you think that with the way they did, like HBO, WB, and they did this 4-hour art piece of the Snyder Cut and this vision, what do you think happens going forward for specifically, I guess, DCEU, HBO, and all of this? Do you think that they go down the path that they see the success of not to say that we need all these 4-hour films, but it kind of shows, to your guys' point you brought up of, hey, people can jump in, watch an hour, turn it off, watch another hour, and do it how they want to do it. What do you think it means for the future of like kind of streaming and within the context of DCEU? And do you think that they continue a path of, the 2-hour theater experience when that's alive, plus we're going to day and date release it like we see on Disney? Like, what do you guys think is kind of the future of all of that?
That's a good one. I'll let you guys jump in.
Well, they said that Zack is going to tie all the threads to it. I was just watching. I could have sworn I sent that link into the chat. They're going to go with his vision of how the world should be. They're going to link them all together, and they're going to interchange some of the TV shows with these characters, because they're going to be telling Elseworld stories. That's the good thing about DC, is they embrace the Elseworld type of thing, like what if type of things. And they aren't as rigid as Marvel is with continuity, because they actually change backstory and change some of the known stories that are laid before you to fit their narrative, to fit their story, what they want it to be. So going forward, Zack Snyder is going to have probably total control over it, hopefully, so you can have one vision going through, opposed to a Josh Whedon type of thing. We'll see how Suicide Squad 2 does, because with James Gunn doing Suicide Squad 2, opposed to the original director, that was Zachary something, I believe, that James Gunn should do a phenomenal job. And if they do, then what happens there with the directors and stuff like that going forward? I think it's on Suicide Squad 2, an actual new theatrical release that's going to carry more weight, opposed to Zack Snyder's reboot, to be honest with you.
No, so
I think for me, look, if the Zack Snyder stuff doesn't pan out and we do sort of get a breaking up of the DC extended universe, at the end of the day, if they're good products and they're well-told stories, I think they'll be fine. If they do really want to continue this sort of extended universe thing, I think that marriage of the TV series and the movie experience, Marvel has shown that it's working, because like you said, Assemble, it creates a backstory and context for these characters in a more intimate setting where you can really get into who they are. And then by the time you get to the 2.5-hour theatrical experience, you have a different context for that character. You have a different attachment to that character. I think once again, they've figured out a way to make you care. Now, obviously Marvel has, they've been lucky that they can get a lot of these actors to do these TV shows as well. That's not the case with DC, right? So if they wanted to do that, they would have to sort of, again, start from scratch and figure that out that way, to have that continuity and have that universe, so to speak, matter. I don't know that they're going to do that. So I'm just hoping for good products. If Zack Snyder does get to kind of put his vision out there, I would love to see it, because it's going to be wild. Like, people are going to be like, what? But I want to see that. that. I'd love to see that happen.
What is it? Watchmen, Justice League?
Pretty much.
Doug, what about you, to take us home? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a good question, Assemble. It's a good question. I think for me, I look at two things. One, financially, how this benefits the formats for both, like for both things. Obviously, the streaming aspect when the numbers come back, a lot of the brass is going to look at that. Obviously, in the pandemic, that's a huge advantage because of the theater situation. But once things normalize, like the question is going to be, how does that transition, right? And to Saab's point, I think we're at that point now that they can look at the Marvel playbook, so to speak, and say, okay, let's do these TV series because they didn't really fleshes things out. So even if you have a movie where you have these great characters, DC characters, but they're in these short spots, they have so much context now. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do as much forced explaining. Because let's be real, like as much as I love, the Justice League, the Zack Snyder, I mean, it's really explaining, why things are happening, why people have motivations. And I think, unfortunately, DC just didn't have that luxury that Marvel had of this, Kevin Feige vision of all these years.
They had the luxury, but they just chose to do the short version.
Well, yeah, I mean, just doing like a cramming for an exam, so to speak.
Yeah. Warner didn't want to spend that bread.
Exactly. They wanted to have the cliff notes. They didn't want to play the long game because they didn't see the benefit in it.
Facts.
And remember, they had the more iconic characters that we could tell a one-off story and make more money than you guys.
Right.
Opposed to, we don't want to do a long take of it. We don't care for 10 years of history. We don't care to tell one vision. We can tell one story. That's why it's so disjointed with this new Batman movie coming and still going in with a Ben Affleck Batman movie.
I feel you.
And they will always have these issues.
Right.
But I sent the link to you guys. I gotta also get you a Matt on so I can send stuff to you. I can send it to your Twitter. But they I think with Zack in control, you will see that vision going through now. Is that at a detriment?
Right.
Because you wouldn't, if Zack was in control, you would have never got Shazam. That was light, that was campy, that was fun.
Right.
That movie was a coming of age movie for a superhero that can play as a child. Can Zack think in that manner? I don't believe so.
Right.
I believe that we would have had a dark vision of that going forth, would have been something more of a Black Adam type of film, anti-hero feel of it, what you would have got Billy Baxton raped inside,
Oh my God. Why I gotta be
so my thing is, I don't
let
know.
that go with that.
I know I would never, because I was appalled at it. I was appalled when he had Superman kill Zod. I'm appalled at a lot of things that he chooses to do. But in that same context, I applaud the artistry and his vision. I'm going to respect his artistry and his vision, because everyone needs, if you're a director, you get paid for it.
Yeah, you got to have your vision
to tell your story.
Yeah, I mean, the last point I was going to say, it's just conclusion was just that, the interesting thing is, because of the world-renowned positive vibe from the DC community with the Snyder Cut, does that now force change? Does that now say, okay, we have to change our thinking? He has to have more control of the universe and have this more synergy, as opposed to what King is saying, just doing this disjointed thing just for money and different Batmans and this and that, just to push things out, as opposed to a nice unified vision. You know what I'm saying? And that's the advantage, like I said, like a Feige and these guys have. You know what I'm saying? So that to me is what it is. And the last point is, I would love to see, as far as the streaming services, take advantage of these DC stories and build these things out and flesh them out. And I think they're great in that. I mean, the Flash series showed that. Like, I think they're great in that spot when they have time, when it's not all money driven, just to get out a but. It kind of reminds me what they're going through now as a motherfucker. Reminds me of when Fox had control of the Fantastic Four properties and all these properties, and it's just like, we're gonna just keep cranking them out because we got the license and we don't care about the fan service and the lore. And it's just next movie, next Batman, next this, and that. After a while, it's going to bite you. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a reason why there's this cult following the way Marvel has been able to resurrect themselves during that era. And I just want DC to get there. And the Zack Snyder thing, my final point was like, wow, okay, if they have time, they got some stories to tell. They can do it. You know what I'm saying? And you just want that vision to win as opposed to the suits. That's my final thing on it.
Awesome. I love it. Gentlemen, I appreciate you guys giving up your time, giving up like 2 hours to talk, to nerd out, to talk about Justice League, the shenanigans, King's strong-willed opinion about how things should be done. I want to hear like the King's book of the DCEU. Like, what's your problem?
I would fix it. I would actually, but see, my whole thing, I'm really about respecting the character.
That's
all.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up with that. Man, me and you need to talk about stuff because I really respect Superman in his boyish charm, in his naivety.
Yep, that's why I like the Christopher Reeve one.
Respect that. You know, when you strip the characters, you made something else. You made somebody else. You made Omni-Man. You didn't make Superman. if you want to do an Omni-Man film, then do so. But stick to the core. Everybody's not Watchmen.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. That's it.
Guys, where can everybody find you? Because we will have this episode up for everybody on YouTube. Where can they check you out?
Yo, Lord Cognito on Twitter. Check me out there. And of course, Iron Lord Podcast every Sunday, the Lord's Day, 1 p.m. Eastern. Check us out on the Iron Lords Podcast, YouTube. Assemble. This is dope, man. This is dope. I had a great time. Thanks, man, this is fun. We like nerded out. You know what I'm saying? I get to hear King Rand. I get to hear the surgical the surgical precision of Sav with his beautiful takes and stuff like that. It's good. I love this stuff. I can call me Casual Cog with DCU. I just love listening to this stuff. So it's cool. Thanks for that,
No doubt, man. Yeah, this is fantastic, man. Lord Sav ILP on Twitter, BX Sovereign PSN Xbox Live. Though you never find me there.
Yes, he'll never play with you. He'll never play with you.
And of course, every Sunday, Iron Lords Podcast on YouTube. Yeah, man, this is fantastic. Honestly, I'm not used to 2-hour things, so I'm just like, I'm ready to keep going. I'm like, this is gonna be 4 hours again.
Yeah, that's us. That's us. Yeah,
that's what it felt like a Josh Whedon cut.
I'm sorry. I gave you the Josh Whedon version.
It's the Franken podcast.
Yeah, it felt like we are leaving a lot of stuff on the floor.
There's a lot of stuff.
King David OTW. You can find me on Iron Lords Podcast Sunday at 1 p.m. Darth Castle X, that's DCX, open mic Fridays at 9 p.m. This Friday is going to be extremely lit because I'm gonna give a little bit of my take on Godzilla versus King Kong. You can find me on Xbox with the same name, King David OTW. Add me there. I'm not that. Listen, I curse a lot. So saying like he's doing this now, and there's no cursing. He's really great. It's because cameras is watching. But also on PlayStation. If you're on PlayStation now, you can add me Xbox 360 Lover 01. And I know you're saying like, oh, that's crazy. Xbox 360 Lover 01. If I'm 01, there has to be an Xbox 360 Lover, right? Exactly.
That is true.
I do want to have King's story of like, here's Batman in jail. Because I keep thinking about this.
My
God.
No, you got to ask Zack Snyder why
are we going to see that fan fiction?
Yeah, I want the fan fiction version of this.
No, I don't want them to do that to Bruce. Like, no. Like all I picture is Ra's al Ghul doing weird things with my man.
Oh no,
He just has his cowl on and nothing else. Just a straight jacket.
Oh my God, no.
Oh boy.
Poor Bruce.
Thank you very, very much for doing this. Thank you for coming on to the show. I can talk to you guys every week just about DC and Marvel and everything else. But I do want to thank you guys very much again for coming onto the show. Anytime, you're welcome back. Please come back anytime you feel like it.
No doubt. And likewise, we'll have you back in the realm, sir.
All right, guys.
Yes,
thanks so much for joining us here on Assemble. I'm Matt. Thank you as always for assembling with us. See you guys.
Bye.
Peace.
This was the first